So I'm gonna also try to draw this out for you. So let's see, I'm not trying to do a tree for this. So here, let's say, I'm gonna draw a few organisms. So here's a fly, maybe. Actually, let me take that back. There's one, maybe another one here. So I'm gonna say fly, and then a bat, and then a bird. And here is their ancestor, old ancestor. So the ancestor had no wings. Fly has a wing, bat has a wing, birds, they have a wing. So the wings evolved 3 different times. Didn't come from the old ancestor or their ancestry. Is this analogous or homologous?
Analogous.
This is analogous. The wing, wing, wing. So this is analogous. And then we have, I'm gonna use the same organisms. I'm gonna say ancestor here. And then we have a fly, bat, and a bird. In this, the ancestor had wings. So I'm gonna say wings. These wings stayed with the fly, the bat, and the bird. So that's homologous. So that's homologous. Then I also said something about convergent evolution. Convergent evolution, so that's an example of convergent evolution. Let me show you another example of that. So another example of convergent evolution would be maybe this one. This is a fish, reptile, mammal, and a bird. They all have similar body shapes. This is not because they had a common ancestor. This is because they have maybe the same environment. They give them same streamlined body shapes. Maybe with this body shape, it's easy to swim. So convergent evolution is when they don't have a common ancestor, but they have the similar structures. So that's an example of analogy, convergent evolution. So that was another example. Also would be cactus. I think cactus. So here, you guys probably already know what cacti looks like. So this is cactus. And there is something that's called, this another group called euphorbs. This is called euphorbia. This also, these cacti or cactus, they grow in the desert. They have this shape, these euphorbs. They also have the similar shape as cactus, but they are not found here in, South America. They're found, I think, in Africa. So they are living in a different place, but they also live in desert. Therefore, they also have the similar shape as the cactus. So that's another example of convergent evolution. So none of these cave, this is another example here. There's cave animals, they don't have pigment or eyes because it's really, really dark in the cave. If you're living in the cave, it's really dark, you cannot see anyway, so you don't want to spend any energy on making eyes. So these cave animals, this is amphibian, salamandra, and this is a different group, crustacean. So they don't have eyeballs, both of them. But this is not because they had a same ancestor. This is because they live in the similar environment. So that's convergent evolution, which produces similar structures in organisms that don't share the same lineage or ancestry. So lack of pigment arose independently in this one and independently in this one. So like this. So that's not because they have the same ancestor. This is because they're living in the cave, they can't see. So they don't want to waste any energy into making eyeballs. So that's convergent evolution. There's the question. I think I gave you the answer to this already. Okay, so most of you guys typed E, that is correct. That means it is analogous, means they have same function for the body, but they don't share a same ancestor. So that's a product of convergent evolution. So C and D both are correct. So analogous and convergent evolution. So next line of evidence we're looking at is embryology. So they look at the anatomical differences between embryos. So anatomical similarities, they're more obvious in the embryo. This is a human skull, and this is a chimpanzee skull, and you can see they're really, really different. But then you look at the embryo or the fetus, they are looking a lot more similar. So they look a lot more similar in the embryo, and in fetuses they look similar, whereas as adults they look a lot different. So that's another clue that they look at in embryology. And a lot of these different organisms, they might develop the same way in the embryo. So here they might all have the tail, humans, mouse, chicken. So dollfish, mice, and alligators have different bodies when as adults, but when in looking in the embryo, they look very similar. And you have something that's called homeotic genes. These genes direct your body for development, how your body needs to develop. So that's the genes that they look at. So you might be similar to a chicken by 80%, but those 20% of the genes that are different are the ones that are going to maybe do the development for your body. Those are homeotic genes. So homeotic genes control the development. Small differences in gene expression might make the difference between a limbed and limbless organism. So just maybe there's a one amino acid difference, and that might give you, limbs for one animal and no limbs for the other. So these are key genes. They explain how some key mutations might produce new species. So because they all look similar in the embryo, but because of homeotic genes, when they turn off or on, or the gene expression, you end up looking completely different as an adult. So they look at the embryology as an evidence to see the patterns for the evolutionary clues.